I remember standing in a forest at night. I couldn't remember how I had gotten there. There was no path beneath my feet, no house, no road, nothing that suggested I had ever been anywhere else. Just trees. The forests had almost gone completely dark, but I could still see everything strangely well. The branches formed silhouettes against the sky filled with stars. There were far more stars than I had ever seen in my entire life, scattered across the sky in impossible numbers. I could hear the wind moving through the trees. That was the only sound. At first, I thought I was alone, but then something spoke.
You have no power here.
The voice didn't seem to come from anywhere. It wasn't behind me or in front of me. It was just simply there, as if the forest itself had spoken. I turned around and screamed into the abyss, "Who are you?" Nothing answered. I looked in between the trees. Where are we? The wind continued blowing, and the voice came again.
We control you.
I don't remember feeling afraid at first. Instead, I remember getting angry. Okay. There was silence. I'm not scared of you. For a moment, nothing happened. Then I heard something that was almost like laughter.
You think you aren't.
I looked up at the big empty sky. The stars were still there. The trees were still there. The wind was still moving. Where are we? I asked again. The entity didn't answer. Instead, the entire forest suddenly became brighter. At first, I thought the sun had risen. It hadn't. There was a flash. It was the brightest thing I'd ever seen. There's no source of it. It came from no direction. There was simply just light everywhere all at once. I couldn't see the forest anymore. I couldn't see the stars. I couldn't even see the darkness. My entire vision had been replaced by this bright pastel colors. Pink, blue, yellow, purple, everything. Colors that seemed to bleed into each other without any boundaries. And then text appeared.
Are you sure?
I don't know how I knew what it meant. I just did. My heart sank. I tried to move. I tried to escape. I couldn't. I tried to close my eyes. I couldn't even tell if I had eyes anymore. The text remained.
Are you sure?
I remember thinking that I had made a mistake, not because I had said I wasn't scared, but because I suddenly understood that the entity hadn't been trying to scare me. It had been waiting to challenge me, and it appears that I'd been waiting for a very long time. The text disappeared for a moment. There was nothing. Then another message appeared.
You aren't real. 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 You aren't real.
I stared at it. I wanted to deny it. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to say that I was real, but I couldn't speak. The text didn't change, but the voice started talking.
Everything you've ever known does not exist. Everything you remember is something you were given. Everything you are is something we allow.
I could hear the forest again, except it didn't sound like forest anymore. The wind had become something enormous. A low, rushing sound began somewhere impossibly far away. Then it got louder, and louder, and louder. Became static. Not radio static, something much bigger. It sounded like the entire world was being erased. The colors began disappearing. The pastel light faded to gray, and then faded into black. The static continued getting louder. I couldn't move. I couldn't see. I couldn't even tell whether I was still in the forest. Then, suddenly, silence. There was no sensation of having my eyes closed, no sense of time passing, no body, no thoughts that felt like mine. Just the sensation of nothingness. For what felt like hours, I remained there in limbo. And then I woke up. I was in my bed. It was morning. For several seconds, I didn't move. I just stared at the ceiling. I could hear the normal sounds of the world around me. The house, the wind. Everything was there, as it was supposed to be. I was awake. I knew I was awake. I felt like I was real. But I couldn't stop thinking about the last thing the entity said. You are not real. And just for a moment, I wondered, what if waking up wasn't the end of the dream? What if it was the next part?